Hi and welcome back to my channel. So my name is Carrie, and if you're new here, this probably isn't going to make a ton of sense. But essentially I started my channel in 2020 and I kept up for like a year. I was really happy with it. I loved making videos about books, but then I stopped. And 4 years later, here we are. So essentially this video is going to be me trying to explain to you like why I stopped, what's been going on since then, because a lot has, and what this means for me and making book content moving forward. So the first thing is why I stopped my channel. Now, I loved it. I loved making book videos. I found it so fun. I thought that it kind of made me more, I don't know, it made me think about reading more. It made me really think about the books I was reading. It made me read more. It made me kind of keep up to date with what was going on in the book world. And yeah, I loved it. However, when I was doing my channel, when I was making my videos, I was doing my teacher training, which was really good fun. I loved it. It essentially means that so if you do like the traditional teacher training route in the UK, which is you do what they call a PGCE, and that is essentially you're teaching 4 days a week within the normal weeks. And then 1 day of the week you're doing like uni stuff and you're at home. Well, in my case, I was at home because it was COVID, but really good fun. Now, in your teacher training, you have 2 placement schools. So one of mine was an all boys school. It was great. I loved it. The other was a mixed school, really big school, in a deprived area, but the kids were lovely. It was just a lot. Either way, I loved my teacher training experience. Now, when I finished my teacher training, I was lucky enough to get a job in an all-girls school, in a grammar school, and I just absolutely loved it there. But I quickly realised that the girls were very into reading. And I think because I was so new to teaching, I was so young, I started to really panic that they would find my channel. And I knew there was nothing like bad on it, nothing that like I could be, I don't know, told off about. But for me personally, I didn't want to have to restrict my content because I knew that I loved making like vlogs and kind of talking about what I was reading and kind of showing little aspects of my life outside of books. And I had the very conscious realisation that if a kid in my school was watching my channel, then they would know what I got up to that weekend. They would potentially see my friends, my husband, etc. And I was like, this isn't what I want. So I put pause on it and I figured I'd come back to it as and when I wanted to. Now, I also realised, like during teaching there, that it wasn't actually that big a deal, and I probably panicked for no reason, but it was too late by then. I'd already changed my name on everything, so I used to be Carrie Berry, but I was like, oh, they know my first name because it flashes up whenever I log in, so what if they type that in and they find me? So I became Fictional Musings to kind of have some anonymity. I was like, oh well, it's too late. And at that point I was so busy anyway that I was like, I actually don't think I could do it on top of that, on top of teaching, doing YouTube and the editing and the reading as well is so hard. Now, I did keep reading throughout those years, but I just posted about it on Instagram instead. So if you want, you should follow me there. It's at Fictional Musings. But then lots of other stuff happened in those 4 years. So I was teaching at this one school, loved it. The kids were great. I love them so much and I genuinely miss them now that I'm no longer there because I did leave. I finished teaching there in July, so I went to the end of the school year. It's now September and I am not currently teaching. And I'll get to why in a minute, but first I have to go and explain a few other things along the way. So essentially some big developments were I was living with my then boyfriend and his brother when I was making videos before. You might have seen them or heard me talk about them. Me and my then boyfriend moved in together and had our own place, which was great and loved it. We also made sure that it was a ground floor place so that I could get my cat from home. So if you have been following me online, then you know all about Luna and how cute she is. I have one of those highlight thingies on my Instagram, so you can go and check that out because she is just gorgeous. I love her so much. And we were living with her, which was amazing. And then about over a year ago now, in 2024, in February, my then boyfriend proposed to me, became my then fiance, and we started looking at jobs abroad. So my now husband, then fiance, sorry, I'm trying to keep with the chronology, it's hard. He works for the Foreign Office and is a diplomat essentially. And we were looking at jobs abroad in like an overseas posting thing, so he can get posted anywhere in the world, and we essentially moved there. So we were looking at jobs, and this job came up that he really liked for Armenia. So to cut a long story short, that year was stressful. We were planning a wedding and he'd got this job for Armenia, which is where we now are. So fast forward July 2025 and I leave teaching, and 4 days later, 4 days after the end of term, we pack everything up and we get on a plane to Armenia. We also packed the cat up, so she has come with us. Luna is with us in Armenia. I would go and get her to show her to you, but she's very grouchy at the moment, and I will explain why that is as well. But essentially, we moved to Armenia, and that is where I'm at. It's a very odd move. It's one that a lot of people are like, where is that? So Armenia is essentially towards Asia. It's kind of like the other side of Turkey. Then it's bordered by Georgia at the top, Iran at the bottom, and Azerbaijan on the other side. So in an interesting location, and I've got to be honest, I love it. I'm really happy. We've been here for just over a month, like getting on 2 months now actually. And I really like it. I'm really enjoying myself. I think I'm really lucky because I have a lot of freedom at the moment. Because I had to leave my teaching job in the UK, I don't have a job here at the moment, which is amazing and terrifying all at the same time. I think for a lot of people it's a very stressful thing because we're taught to work, and once you kind of stop, you're like, what do I do now? So I'm finding that a little bit tricky. Also with the whole kind of settling into a new country, it's very time consuming in figuring out like what basic things are. Like in Armenia, the main language is Armenian. I don't speak it yet, my husband does, but I can speak very, very basic things. Now, going shopping is very interesting in this scenario. So in Armenia, a lot of the shopping, you go in and they make a lot of things fresh, which is amazing. They don't have a lot of processed food, which is great generally, but really tricky and difficult when you're first arriving in a country and you just want to be able to feed yourself, but you don't know how anything works. You're not familiar with a lot of the products. A lot of the products you'd normally rely on, they don't have. So it's tricky, but I've been managing and I've been finding that a little bit overwhelming. So essentially, I'm doing good. but it's very tricky in some regards. But it's a learning process, so I'm going to start to learn Armenian, I think next week actually, which will be really exciting. But there's a lot to kind of get on with in the meantime, so I'm glad that I don't have a job, because I have a lot to do, like settling in, trying to figure out gyms, trying to figure out just basic things is very time consuming. And if you're anything like me and you get anxious very easily, it takes me a while to build up to be like, I'm going to go out to the shop. I'm going to ask a person via Google Translate, can I have that bread behind the counter, please? You know? So it's really tricky, but we're getting there. And yeah. So we're living in Yerevan, which is the capital of Armenia, which is really good because it's so convenient. It is such a walkable city. Like, nowhere near London, and we are very lucky in our location. We're very central, which is amazing. The people are lovely as well. Like, one of the things I keep thinking about is how nice the people are, how welcoming they are, and how, like, whenever there's a problem and I can't speak to someone and I have to say sorry, I don't speak Armenian, there will always be someone that does speak English, so they will go and get them and bring them to me, and it feels really embarrassing, but they're also nice about it, and everyone's really lovely. So yeah, and we are settling in now. Like I said, it's been almost 2 months. I'm really starting to find my feet, and that's really good because now this office is done, I can film more videos, I can kind of do the things I want to do. So one of the things we talked about when we talked about moving was that I want to write. I've always wanted to write. I love writing. I've been writing fan fiction since I was way too young to know what it was, but that is the case. So I've always wanted to write a proper book. Now, what that is, I'm unsure because I have always had so many ideas for books. I love reading different genres, as you can probably see from the shelves behind me. So I have a lot of ideas. I have ideas for mythology books, I have ideas for romance books, contemporary books, fantasy books, etc. So I don't want to pinhole myself into a genre yet, and I've never been a very consistent person in things I find tricky. And writing is challenging by nature. So essentially, I am going to start writing soon. I don't know what that will look like, whether for a while I'll stick to fanfics just to get back into that kind of flow and that creative space, or if I would dive into one of my book ideas. But I have a few things on that horizon that I could kind of dabble with, which is exciting. So I think I'm going to try and get myself into a routine and write. And my husband's been super supportive of that. One of the things he was really excited for me about this was that I would be able to do this, because I've tried to write when I've been teaching and it just doesn't work. You end up so tired by the time the day is over that I couldn't even go to the gym. I couldn't even open my computer. I would just sit in front of the TV disassociating. So he was really excited that I would be able to have this opportunity, and he's been very supportive in that. So yeah, that's what I am currently planning on doing, is kind of getting into a routine, making videos, reading, going out to cafes, writing, etc., which will be really good. So that is pretty much everything at the moment. Another little update, we got another cat. So last week we got a cat called Arev. We named him that, and Arev is essentially Armenian for sun. So we essentially have a sun cat, Arev, and a moon cat, Luna, which is why Luna's really grouchy at the moment. So she is not very happy about this. She had just kind of settled into this new flat and got over the trauma of her plane journey here. And then we went into a like pet shop, not that they sell pets, but they sell like pet food and stuff. And they had this cage in the back with these 2 kittens in, and they were telling us that they were 3 months old, they were brothers, and I just looked at Matt and he looked at me and I was like, they're so cute. And we decided that we didn't want to separate them. That was our main thinking. We did not want to separate them because they were so attached to each other. It was so cute, but we knew we couldn't take 2. So we said to the cashier that if someone came for one of them to give us a ring and we would take the other, but our preference was that they went together. And that was her preference too. The whole kind of shop was in agreement that it would be hard to separate these 2. So we agreed that, and then about a week later we get a phone call at 9:30 at night to say someone took the other cat, do you still want him? And we ran down to the shop and just fell in love with the little guy, and yeah, he's adorable. So he's really cute. I would go and get him, but he has just had his jabs today. He's 3 months old. He's had his jabs and he's feeling a little sorry for himself, especially after the microchip. So we're going to leave him alone for now, but you will see him in videos coming up. Which leads me into the next thing. So I have a lot of video ideas. I'm going to do like vlogs. Why did I say that word? Vlogs. And that will be of me reading, writing, whatever I get up to in a week. And I'm hoping that that will make me more kind of adventurous. It will get me out more. It will get me doing things, etc. I'm also planning to do like a lot of the content that I just love. So I love watching people talk about books. I love watching people kind of, do you know Evan Edinger? Like, he is a YouTuber that I've watched for years now, and he's essentially an American living in the UK, and he talks about cultural shocks, he talks about things that are different, etc. And I'm going to try and do that, but for Armenia. So that is my goal, to kind of do some videos about the culture, about what to expect, etc. Maybe some videos touring Armenia. I've already been to a few places that I've really loved here. So yeah, things like that is my plan. So that is the general idea. That's what I'm planning to do. Also, I've got a lot of themed reading videos coming up, and maybe some reactions as well. I've loved doing music reactions in the past, which is why, because I wasn't quite ready to sit down and film this video because I wanted my bookshelves, I filmed my Sabrina Carpenter reaction, and the day before, I filmed my 21 Pilots reaction, which really annoyingly has been copyright striked to everything. So I'm annoyed about that. So this may come out before that now, or it might not, I don't know. YouTube is very annoying. Apparently me talking is copyright, so who knows. Anyway, I love doing those kind of things. I was thinking about maybe doing reactions to some other things. We'll see. But yeah, that's the kind of idea. I'm gonna go back to doing some of the content I was before, and maybe some new stuff as well, especially surrounding like travel, and yeah. So that's what I'm really excited for. That is essentially what the channel's going to be like now, and hopefully you guys like that. So yeah, stick around, subscribe if you want to see more of that kind of thing, and yeah, let me know in the comments what has changed in your life in the past 4 years if you have been subscribed. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.